So continuing from there, in that case, this is going to return me the sum of the two numbers. So it will be NO1 plus NO2. So that is what it is going to return. You can create as many functions as you want for the particular web service. Let's say just to see how many functions we have created two. One is called a hello world, which is already there, add, and let's say we create another one that is to check for a perfect number. So I'll create this one because here add, I'll say this is perfect number. Sorry, there should be no gap. Okay, so perfect number. Now here what I need is that I need to supply one variable, that is the number that you want to check whether it's a perfect number or not, and that's it. So, and this is going to return me 1 or 0 according to if it's a perfect number. Now I don't want to take that, I will just copy paste the code which I have already do it from here. So this is a program that I have already done it. So from here what I'll do is that I will paste it here. Now here NO is the number that we will supply, and this is the logic which will check it's a perfect number. But if NO equals to C, I cannot set this part in a web service. So what I'll say is that you will say return, because if it's a perfect number, what I'll say is that you return 1, fine, and if it is not a perfect number, then let it return 0. So the method which will, so this will return 0. So now here if it returns 1, then it is a perfect number, and if it is 0, then so in total I have got 3. So you can create as many functions as you want in this service. How do you test it? For testing, since this web service does not have a interface right now, so you can still test that. That is by just clicking in this run, and you'll see. Sorry, there is a problem. Let's see. Application domain in which the thread was running has been unloaded. Okay, so let's run it again. Okay, then it asks it. Okay, so I just give okay. That's because it's a local server. So now when you run, what is important here is to note down the URL path, because if you want to consume this service in any other application, you have to know the URL path, and this is what is very important, this one. And you can see localhost 50. Okay, then this is the actually 5010 is the port and all these things. So you copy this URL, because we will need it in other websites. Now you notice we have perfect number. These are the one that we have added. Hello world is one. So if I say add, then it is expecting two things. You can see two numbers. So if I give 56 and if I give 78, and if I say invoke, and it is just going to tell me that 134. But it's not a good interface, isn't it? Similarly, if I go for let's say the other one, that is if I want to check for a perfect number, what I'm going to do is that if I enter something number like 28 is a perfect number. So 28, if I say invoke, and it says 1, which means it's a perfect number. Now the point is, this does not still have a interface. Now how do I create an interface? The interface can be a Windows application, or it can be a so-called your web application. So if I want to create an interface, let's create a so-called, we'll create a project, we'll create a Windows application which is going to consume the web service which we have just now created. A web service will be consumed by a Windows application. So how do you do it? Well, let's go for a form, Windows form application. So we give a this one web, we give a name web service, um, web service functions. So what will be the web functions? Done. So I give OK. Fine. So I'm creating a. You can see that I'm creating a Windows form application. Right. So it will have a form. So what I need is that just to show you right now, so I'll just simply create a simple interface where I'll have a text box which going to tell me whether it's a will have a level. Okay, so let's say the result of the operation. Fine. Fine, that's okay, and we are going to display it in a text box. So if I call the, so you can, I need two buttons. Here are the two buttons, one is to check, find the sum of the two numbers, because we created two things. So here we will, let's say, sum, and another is to check for a perfect number. So perfect number. Fine. So the result will come over here. Very simple interface. Now you cannot just consume the service just like that. So what you have to do is that right click in this one solution, sorry, in this so-called your the project. Then you go to this add service reference. Click here. Now here you have to paste that path that you have copied from the web service, HTTP this one. Now you say go, and you should be able to see this one, which is green. That means the service exists. If it's a real web application which is running in a real web server, then depending whether the web service is running or not, this will be green or red accordingly. So here if you go for this service soap, and you see these things are there. Fine. So I give OK. Now this service is a part of this particular object. Now I have to consume that service. For that, if I click on this sum, double click in this sum, and what we have to do is that we create an object dim obs, or do, okay, or we can say equals to new this one, service web service one. So new this one, service web service one dot soap client. This is how you create the object. Now just simply ob dot, you can see add, then this hello world, and that perfect number, everything is there. So I want to check for add, so I go for this add, and then I have to supply two numbers. So let's say we'll supply 27, 80. Okay, so these two numbers will supply, and the result maybe we'll store it in a variable dim, let's say res as integer. Okay, and we'll say res equals to, because it is going to result me that result, and then we are just text box 1 dot text is equals to result. Fine. So now we run this project. So the thing is, I just click on this, and it finds 107, which is the sum of these two numbers that we are supplying. You can create this project by asking the input from the user and sending it by having a variable. Similarly, you can call the perfect number also, but only thing with the perfect number will be that if you want to do the perfect number, because it will return 1 and 0, so same thing you can do. I'll just copy paste again this code, but except for instead of add, what you can do is that I'll say dot, I'll call the perfect number, and I'll send a number like maybe 6, which is a perfect number. Okay, but this result will have 1 if it's a perfect number. So only thing here you have to check if res equals to 1, then we are going to say, uh, mm, perfect number, and we'll see, else we'll just say, see, I'll just copy, I'll say not perfect number. Very simple interface, and this thing is not required here. So fine. So now if I run this and I click on this, it says perfect number, because 6 is a perfect number. If I change the variable to anything else, let's say I change it to 57, which is not a perfect number. So if I run this and I run, and I say it says not a perfect number. The best part about it is that everything is done by this particular web service. So this is how you create a web service, and then you consume the web service. All right.